Okay. They're going to be annoying for me. Let's get my favorite. Oh! Darn it. Let's see if I can bend with the mic. Alright, well, we'll see if that worked. The thing is, you can't. Well, I say we give it a shot. You ready? Up, so it's still shaking because it's on the table. This is, you can't see it. Oh. Okay, so we definitely had a negative, and that is I've already hit the camera. So what I need is, I need the, up, see, did it again. Alright, I don't know if that's gonna work, me constantly bumping into you like that. There's no way we can have a good long relationship with me hitting you and you making everything blurry. So that's not gonna work. We're gonna try this. Stomach actually really does hurt pretty bad right now. I might go back and lie down. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and I think that's probably what's got my stomach, that I just need to take a bath and relax. It's Sunday and I've been going non-stop. Oh, did you see that? You gotta grab it. I didn't get in all my PT exercises that I was supposed to. I'm trying to figure out, I have a different back pain, and I know that, I believe, well, I don't believe, I know I have back pain, really bad back pain, where my bra strap, it touches my body. I'm naturally large chested, and I just think after this many years of carrying around that much front-loaded weight, my back, my spine just can't handle it. Of course, Western medicine won't do anything about it because, well, I'm a woman, and they would consider a reduction aesthetic. I'm sorry, I have a lot of faith in doctors' desire to do good in the world. And I have little belief that health insurance companies are in alignment with that. They're a business. And their business, if we consistently stayed with one provider, would be to get us healthy. But because we change providers so much, we're always shopping a better price. It doesn't benefit one insurance company from their viewpoint, depending on their values, of course. It doesn't benefit one insurance company to fix a patient that will then move to another insurance company. Now, where I saw that different was, I was a litigation strategist for a managing general underwriter. In this situation, that meant that I worked for the administrative company that made certain that self-insured healthcare plans, oops, we're gonna have to fix this, I keep hitting the camera, I don't know how much would be usable. So there are administrators, administrative assistants, people administering the contracts between the employer, for example, a union. In our case, there were employers and unions. Let me back up. In the United States, there are different ways that people can get health insurance. The main way that people get health insurance in the United States is through their employer. Numbers-wise, that might not be correct with the marketplace, but we're giving a general. And what that means is that a company is going to provide as a benefit in order to help retain their employees and based on the company's values and priorities. They want to provide health insurance for their employees. But a company has to has to pay premiums based on the liability, the amount of money they need covered by an insurance company. So for example, say you have a mom and pop shop and they can only afford $10,000, for example, in medical expenses for one of their employees without seriously causing the business problems financially, right? They don't have the money of a large company to be able to spend, say, $50,000 per employee or a year, or a different amount of money. So what the employer does is they secure insurance. They secure insurance for the difference between what they can afford and what they cannot afford. So the difference between $10,000 that they can afford and $1 million, for example, that the employee needs to have covered, right? Ugh, I am so sorry, I just keep hitting it. So they end up getting insurance. So say we're going to start off. So say the employer, mom and pop, they can only covering $10,000 of medical bills per employee per year. So they communicate with insurance companies and they secure, with insurance companies, usually a few, the coverage. So they might end up having one company that provides a premium they and their employees can afford to cover the difference between $10,000 and $100,000. And then another insurance company says, well, it's not the same as covering somebody for the full $1 million. You already are doing things to try to keep the costs under $100,000. So, yeah, this isn't gonna, I just keep shaking it. I wonder what happens if I change to cinematic view. Let's give that a shot. Every time I touch the iPhone, which is my camera, the entire tripod, the entire mic arm shakes. I'm going to have to figure that out. So then you have an insurance company that says, I'll cover the difference between $100,000 and $250,000. And then another insurance company covers the difference between up to $1 million, just for example. So what a managing general underwriter does, well, I don't know what all managing general underwriters do. I just know the one that I worked with specifically. What we did was, the best way to keep a premium down, think about it with your car, is not to have an accident, right? We don't have accidents. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to move this. This will be the last of this kind of setup, especially for today, is to not have a claim, right? Well, in this situation, if you have a few insurance companies, you might have a claim for the first layer of insurance, the one that gets you up to $10,000, right? But that one in this situation is a self-insured plan, which means, as I said, the employer is going to cover all on their own, kind of as though it's their deductible, $10,000 per employee per year, for example. And then once they hit a cent over that, the second insurance company comes in to cover the cost, right? And then the third, okay? And that's how it all works. But one of the things I love most about the managing general underwriter that I work for is, because I care a lot about integrity where I work, is, oh, look at how pretty. So I don't think I have to pick it out. Let me, there. I have some bees down here, but I don't think I need to really push it. This is a bee. Oh, I see one right there. So what we did was, our goal was to think about it this way. It was to make sure that whatever was wrong for that, my hope is that I'm going to beep over. The dog is barking, and my hope is that I'm going to be able to beep over that so that you don't have to deal with the well, I keep touching upon, okay, I'm jumping around a little too much. So our job, every employee at the managing general underwriter, our job was to do everything that we could to ensure that every employee stayed as healthy as possible, so that there were no claims. So that there were no claims to their own mom and pop shop, right? And then that if there was a claim that the mom and pop shop had to cover, that the medical issue was not larger, such that the first insurance company had to cover the costs, such that the second insurance company didn't have to cover the cost, the third. You see what I'm saying? So what we did, which I don't know how others are done, but what we did, which is my understanding that this is how the owner of the company differentiated us as a managing general underwriter than others, is our job was to do everything in our power, to get the people as healthy as possible, as quickly as possible. We did not sweep anything under the rug because these are mom and pop shops. And it is our hope that one of the things that the mom and pop shop had the benefit of is lack of turnover. Because a little mom and pop shop, every time they have an employee and even a new one start, their entire system is disrupted, and that means that their health care is negatively impacting all the case, negatively impacting their bottom line. And in our situation, it didn't make any sense for that, because the entire reason why for a self-insured healthcare plan for a mom and pop shop or a union was to try to keep everybody all their people healthy, right? So if we're trying to keep everybody healthy, let me say it differently. The thing that I loved most about working for this managing general underwriter was that our priority was to keep everybody healthy and not sweep anything under the rug. And that is in alignment with my values. And what we did was, one of the things that we learned, that I learned, was that the quicker you help people to get better, the less cost costs will be expended. You will spend less money keeping somebody healthy than fixing somebody who's sick. If they are sweeping things under the rug, if they are not dealing with their medical issues, they only compound. And so because we fundamentally cared about our clients making sure that they could continue to cover the healthcare costs of all their employees and have insurance premiums that were low enough for them to be able to afford, we needed to keep everybody healthy. So in our situation, and I will not tell any trade secrets, I will be cautious of that in this conversation. So you might hear some generalities, and that is because I am being respectful of any possible trade practices that I was privy to. Our goal was to keep everybody healthy, which meant every single time somebody went to the doctor, as the administrator of the insurance, think about it, we saw it. We saw it. And if there was anything that was a possible red flag, something that we suspected based solely on the medical reports we received, that seemed like something that was outside of the range of normal, which means, I'm so sorry, I need help with the setup. By the time this goes up, hopefully I'll have figured it out, but I apologize. I'm hoping that you are working on your project. You're pretty much just listening. You'll look up once in a while to see how I'm doing, but for the most part, you're just listening to me. So what we did, the Managing General Underwriter, is we kept track of, we jumped on any case that seemed as though it was not a normal, everyday, no big deal kind of situation. There were some situations that were big deals, but based on the doctor, based on the diagnosis, based on the speed of treatment, we covered it one way. And in other ways, we ensured, I'm so sorry about all the shaking. So we would make sure that all the players understood or were privy to the most up-to-date knowledge of what was going on. We did not make any medical decisions, but what we did is, if we noticed that so-and-so, something was happening with somebody, and we knew from another client, or just from being in the industry, that there's a clinical study dealing with exactly that, or that the FDA just approved a specific drug for that, and this person is within the prescription guidelines, we would make sure that all of the players, all of the different people involved, were informed of that information, so that we didn't expect a healthcare worker to be omnipotent and know everything about their industry, just like when you're working, you know your job, but sometimes you forget where in the wheel, in the world wheel of everything going on in the world, what you're doing necessarily fits. And maybe if what you're doing might be a little outdated based on new research. Everybody, every single person uses outdated information to do something because it takes a while to get from a best practice to it being in your brain. Oh, we got a puppy back. Hello, puppy. So that's what we did. And I loved the theory of what we did. There were some administrative differences of opinion, but fundamentally, I was so proud to be able to work for an organization whose job was to I want to say it was our job too, but you know what? It was more than that. It wasn't our job. It was our job to do something, but I definitely believe that our standard of what was acceptable and how we could help and make a difference, I do believe was higher than the industry standard. I do believe that the owner of our company had a much higher standard, and I can tell you because we knew by name every single child that got a diagnosis that a parent would never want to hear. We knew about that within hours, and we had people on the team, specialists on the team were immediately assigned and took complete ownership of their part of the wheel to ensure that every bit of information, to do whatever we could as the body that approved, as a body that administered the terms of the agreement between the employer and the insurance company, was to the letter abided by. We didn't fix, we didn't change, and if there was a conflict, well, there wasn't a conflict. I mean, when there were conflicts, for example, it was a difference of not understanding what was covered versus what was not covered. And so it was one of my jobs there was to make it easily communicated what is and is not within the terms of the healthcare plan, so that patients understood, which means employees understood, which means employers understood, what did they agree to, and how does what they agreed to in some board meeting affect the lives and the children's lives of their employees. If they told their employees, this is of value to us and we cover it, it is covered. I didn't tie into the websites of the people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I was one of the people in charge of Bravo Y. I was one of the people in charge of making sure that when an administrator at the employer, so say head of HR, the person, there's no HR, there's one person who's in charge of HR, but they're in charge of everything else, right? That if they said, I want to cover this, and I would show them their contract and say, if that's what you want to cover, then this is what the contract, then the wording that you've agreed to is not covering that. The wording that you've agreed to covers, for example, in my situation, say covers having my breasts reduced because of my back pain, but I want it done in a way that's cosmetically proper, you know, is or is not covered. And it depends on the terms of the plan. It depends on the term, and the terms of the plan are dependent upon who negotiated it and their priorities. Because I can promise you, a company, hey, what, my little Sadie Bean? Baby Bean. She's here again. Look at my little bean. Oh, let's see. I don't know what. Look at my bean. Hi, baby. Hello, my gorgeous girl. Hi. How is my most beautiful? Oh, baby. What my little bunny. Hello, hello. What? So I'll get, I have to go outside now? Okay, bye everybody. Oh, I have to go outside and make sure I walk in the sun. I'll be back. So we're going to do this again. We just took all the dogs outside. And now we are going to work on finishing this section. So what we did as a managing general underwriter is we did everything in our power to ensure that all of the employees, well, we made sure that all of the healthcare plans were implemented as they were agreed. That's the bottom line, as they were agreed. And if they're agreed to properly, that means that the agreement is in alignment with the employer's values, financial priorities, and as the administrative arm, making sure that the contract between the employer and the insurance company was implemented properly. A big part of that was doing what we could to make certain that people got as healthy as possible when they came up on our radar. And it was our job, we believed, to make certain that every employee for the plans that we managed did come up on our radar. Does that make sense? And there were certain things that we did to ensure that we kept our eyes open for any opportunity where we could provide the insurance company's information about what was ever in our terms of our agreement with them. So it was, on a basic level, our job was to ensure that the agreements that were made between the insurance company and their insured were implemented While I was there, because I started there in the fall of 2014, while I was there, I learned that even though it might be the case that somebody else's job is to help make sure that you get healthy, it's not their priority, and there's a good chance they might have some limitations. You are your assigned advocate, and unfortunately, it is a responsibility. Excuse me. And the sad thing, the really sad thing, is that that's not your area of expertise. And it's not and a lot of people have a really hard time, and I can talk from experience, of understanding that you are being asked, you are not being asked, your job as a person as the person your job on this planet is to have your back. And unfortunately, that means that sometimes it's your job to figure out how to communicate with people who have spent their lifetimes trying to learn the thing that is the difference between life and death for you. Alright, so that was a little heavy. How about a little video where there's some silence going to film a little bit more in this position now that I might have had, I'm starting to learn how to tilt the pen to avoid the camera. Oh, as I speak. So I'm going to stop filming, and I will see you on another day. Bye.